On this clear and beautiful sunny Sunday morning here in Oregon, some folks are enjoying a hot air balloon checking out Mount Hood. However, west of the Great Mountain lies the city of Portland. Known as the Rose City, annually it hosts a Rose Festival. That included the IndyCar Series Grand Prix of Portland. However, after 1 year absence, the city is ready to host the stars at the NTT IndyCar Series once again. It is a beautiful day for racing in the Great Pacific Northwest, the only major motorsports event that takes place in this part of the United States. Fans have been arriving at Portland International Raceway all morning long to see who will take the win of this great race. Will it be the fourth-time Indianapolis 500 winner, Helio Castroneves? He is here today in his 27-car field. Jimmie Johnson, the 7-time Cup Series champion, making his first start here at Portland International Raceway. How will he fare in his rookie season in the IndyCar Series? We also have Romain Grosjean from Formula 1. His first race here in the IndyCar, and he surprised everyone and get a win. We also have Graham Rahal trying to get redemption after 2 bad performances here lately. And Alexander Rossi, he wants to turn his season around, get something going as we start the 3-race West Coast swing. Paddle Award, he needs to catch up to Alex Palou starting ahead of him. Simon Pagenaud, a lot unknown about his future. How will he perform today? Don't forget Marcus Ericsson having a career season this year, and the defended winner of this race, Will Power. Distinguished guests, welcome to the Grand Prix of Portland pre-race show.
Hello everyone, welcome to a special edition of Grid Live Pre-Race. I'm Kobe Lambert for the Podium Finish. With me is Adam Lemeries, Ben Snyder, Joe Samniego, who's currently live from Portland International Raceway. We hope you all enjoy quite a show over at Monza in Italy with an epic McLaren 1-2, Daniel Ricciardo taking the win, Lando Norris finishing second. But can the Aero McLaren SP IndyCar drivers Pato O'Ward and Felix Rosenqvist do the same? Let's get straight to the action with Joe Trackside in the Media Center.
Thank you, Kobe, and thank you everyone for joining in. The NTT IndyCar Series weekend is now just hours away from starting the final leg of the 2021 season. This is the Grand Prix of Portland, and on the pole, Alex Palou in his first race out here. 1 point in cutting the deficit to Pato O'Ward, so he is now 9 points from 10 points behind at the start of the weekend, and Pato O'Ward is starting 7th place. Third, we have Josef Newgarden, but he is starting 18th in the race, so he has a ways to go to try to cut that lead into the top 2. And Scott Dixon, he is starting 3rd. Looking at the top 8 starters, I don't anticipate anyone up front making a mistake entering the festival corners. Alex Palou could have a great start to the West Coast swing.
Hey, Joe, I know we talked a couple of weeks ago about Alexander Rossi's struggles this season. Today he's starting on the outside of row 1, and he does have a podium here the last time we had the Grand Prix of Portland. Of course, last year we couldn't because of the pandemic. Could Portland be the turnaround for him where he might be able to score a podium and perhaps even turn it into a win?
I believe so, especially with his pace being up front now that he is starting in the front row. The big thing for him is that clean start. He needs to make sure when he gets around, essentially Alex Palou, assuming Alex Palou gets a good start, that he could get there and stay up front. I think they got the Gremlins behind him. I think when it comes to winning the races, he has the potential to do that. And the big thing with him and this racetrack, he likes the track. He's gotten the success here. He should have no worries. He should be full of confidence entering today's race.
How has the attendance been all around this weekend in Portland?
The attendance this weekend has been really good. A lot of people were talking about the good crowd size on Saturday. Yesterday, of course, we had the Indy Lights race. We saw David Malukas take that win. We had the ARCA Menards West Series race at the end of the day. And overall, it's been a fun atmosphere being back at the racetrack. It just feels like the kind of atmosphere you have at any racetrack, any special event. and it's just been wonderful. The facility here, Portland International Raceway, great facility, very unique as part of Portland Parks and Recs. But the nice part, you have a lot of green space where you could just enjoy a picnic. I know during our breaks here, we've just been able to have a little picnic outside, and at the same time to hear the race cars. It's just been, for any motorsport fan, a wonderful weekend. We highly encourage everyone to be sure to check out IndyCar races and, of course, your local tracks as well, because as we're all starting to get back to normal, everybody wants to get back to the track, and I just think it's really great to see the strong response here at Portland.
Yes, and surprisingly, not a single Team Penske car made it through out of qualifying 1 and into Q2. In qualifying yesterday, Will Power is the highest Penske driver. He starts 14th on the grid as well. Scott McLaughlin, spot behind him, 15th as well. Newgarden as well, trying a late mount to the championship challenge as well. He starts 18th on the grid. Simon Pagenaud starts 23rd. How big of an uphill battle will it be today for Team Penske to score at least a decent result here today?
For Team Penske, especially Josef Newgarden, he needs to gain those points. I mean, Josef Newgarden being 3rd. Then you have Alex Palou and Pato work their way up towards the top 10. Here in Portland International Raceway, 1.9 miles. Essentially 200-mile race. The big thing we're going to have to see is he needs to have a flawless race. He's probably going to need at least a couple full course caution flags to give him a good break. If he could get lucky with the timing of a pit stop and a caution flag, I think there's going to be a lot of potential. Then he could get the win, but he needs that kind of luck. This is not the kind of start he wanted for the West Coast swing. He was very confident when we talked to him Friday, and we encourage everyone to be sure to visit our YouTube channel and Friday's video. But overall, I think Team Penske, they need to have a big turnaround, and especially Will Power, the defending winner from the last time we were here in 2019, it's been a big surprise for everyone.
Joe, have a wonderful day at Portland International Raceway, and we'll see you later on our grid network wrap up show.
Thank you.
We'll continue our coverage with Ben.
Thank you, Adam. The Grand Prix of Portland has been around since 1984, and up until 2007, the race went away after the Champ Car and IndyCar reunification, but returned to the calendar very recently in 2018. The race has been part of the NTT IndyCar Series season ever since, minus last year because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Here's what Colton Herta had to say yesterday about Portland International Raceway.
Yeah, it's great to be back in the Northwest. It's one of those places with being from California. It's not a long travel day, whereas most of the races are on the East Coast. And so it's great. Portland's a great facility, great racetrack, and it always puts on a great race. And it's a lot of fun to drive these Indy cars around here. It's got a great combination of slow speed, high speed, medium speed corners. And it's pretty crazy that they have all that for such a short layout. But no.
And Herta starting in 6th place today. His season has seen speed, but he struggled with the results with only one win so far this year coming at St. Petersburg. He has won at Laguna Seca, which is the location of the next race weekend. So Adam and Josh, what are Herta's chances of earning a race win today and potentially even setting up a West Coast sweep?
I do believe Colton. I believe that Colton Herta has a really good shot to win today and sweep for the last 3 races of the year. It's tracks that he knows very well, especially his dad Brian at WeatherTech Raceway in Laguna Seca, California. Colton Herta will be a contender for the last 3 races of the 2021 NTT IndyCar season.
Absolutely. I mean, as you say, Adam, the Hertas seem to go well in this area of America, especially, of course, Brian Herta at Laguna Seca. I cannot wait to see what Colton Herta's got in store for us all this coming week. I was watching the very good interview that Joe's done as well. And there's a couple more coming up in the pre-show as well when we get round to the watch-along that we're simulcasting, as you know. I can't wait. It looks fantastic because there is such anticipation in his eyes. We know he can be a future champion. We know he's a winner. We know he's a pole sitter. We definitely know he can be a champion. And he can see it now as well. Maybe it is too late this year as well to drop out of the running. We said there's only 3 drivers left in it at the front. But definitely watch out 2022, watch out Colton Herta. And what better way to wrap up the year as well by winning the last triple header 3 in a row. So yeah, watch out for him today. Portland is a track that anything can happen at, and definitely Colton Herta scoring a win here would not be a surprise.
While the Portland Grand Prix has been won by several series veterans, championship contender Alex Palou is making his first start here. Kobe, what can you tell us about Palou and other drivers that are making their track debut today?
Yes, Alex Palou hasn't raced here at Portland International Raceway before. He tested a while back at the track, and it appears paying off. After he won his first career IndyCar pole yesterday, he can really put it down to the top 3 or 2 by the end of today's race if he has a really strong performance and if his other championship rivals don't have a good day. And some other drivers making their very first start at Portland International Raceway include Scott McLaughlin, Callum Ilott, Romain Grosjean, Marcus Ericsson, and Jimmie Johnson. Josh and Ben, besides Alex Palou, which other first-time Portland starter is likely to be the top finisher today?
It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it's such a difficult, demanding circuit. As I think even Joe said, it's a 1.2-mile circuit, but it is quite tricky to tame as well. Going outside of it, who's likely to be out there beside Alex Palou? I would have to say Romain Grosjean, unfortunately. Callum Ilott as well. He comes from Formula 2 as well, and he's got that little niggle with him as well. He knows how to better drive cars that don't have power steering. Of course, there's no power steering in Formula 2, so it's a lot similar. I would say it's going to be Romain Grosjean, because he impressed us so much at the Bombarado 500 last August as well. He's just a man on a mission. He wants to make IndyCar his home after what happened in Formula 1. And what better way is there to finish here? I reckon top 5. I'm going to say top 5. It's possible. And of course, he's got a new team next year. So definitely going to be Grosjean for me.
It could certainly be Grosjean. I would say, looking at the rest of this list here, you certainly can't count Marcus Ericsson out with multiple wins this season. Scott McLaughlin has looked pretty good as well. And, when it comes to the other 2, Jimmie Johnson, Callum Ilott, Ilott's making his debut today, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does, but I don't think he'll be the highest finishing of these 5. And Jimmie Johnson, he's improved for pace. I think the true test for Jimmie, though, is going to come next season. I think this year is really just about improving bit by bit, getting used to how these cars drive. Obviously very different than what he's used to over in the NASCAR Cup Series. But as for who gets the highest finish of these drivers today, I think it's probably going to come down to, Josh, like you said, Grosjean or maybe Ericsson.
Yes, and for me, I'm actually going to say it's going to be Marcus Ericsson. And looking at everyone on the list, Jimmie Johnson, like you were saying, Ben, I think this season is going to be a season of learning for the 7-time NASCAR champion. And next season is definitely going to be the test. How much did Jimmie Johnson learn? And I think next season, finishing in the top 15 would be a reasonable goal for him these final 3 races of the season. Jimmie Johnson is just going to need to keep getting the experience, learning this race car. Maybe we'll see a massive improvement in 2022. But if I had to go with someone today, I certainly think it'll be Marcus Ericsson out of the group, finishing the highest. Grosjean has quite a way to go after a bad qualifying. Callum Ilott, Hunko's Hollinger Racing single car team. It's actually their first race since they made the Indy 500 with Kyle Kaiser, knocking out Fernando Alonso from the Indianapolis 500. So I think a new team, a brand new driver to the series, could have some growing pains there. And Scott McLaughlin, just like Jimmie Johnson, gaining more experience in these cars after driving those heavy supercars. So that's why I'm going with Marcus Ericsson to have the best finish out of all the drivers on that list. And the only time a driver won their first start at Portland International Raceway was in 1984 and 2018 when Al Unser Jr. and Takuma Sato won. 1984 was the first IndyCar race, and 2018 was the first race back after a long absence from PIR in the Pacific Northwest. And see a comment there from Hamza D saying you believe Romain Grosjean will easily be one of those four. And thank you for sharing your comment, Hamza D. And we want to encourage all of our viewers out there. Please share your thoughts, comments, ask any questions you may have throughout the course of our program. And Portland International Raceway is owned by the city of Portland. The track falls under Portland Parks and Recreation Department, which is very unique. Most tracks are privately owned or part of a corporation like SMI or NASCAR. Joe talked to an organization that helps Portland International Raceway make money because despite being owned by the city, the track does not get any taxpayer money.
National Raceway is very unique. It's owned by the city Parks and Recs, and one of the big groups that help out is Friends of PIR. I'm standing here with Mark. Mark, I know one time you were the raceway manager here. Can you tell us what Friends of PIR is all about?
Sure. We brought the group together probably in about 2007 or so. And it's really both a fundraising arm and a support group for all of the events that go on out here.
I hear you. And of course, as I mentioned, it's owned by the city. You used to manage the raceway. What are some of the unique challenges that PIR face that other racetracks are not owned by a municipality doesn't have to deal with?
Well, first off, people think it's getting taxpayer money, and it's not. It's what's called an enterprise fund, part of parks. So we earned all of our money by track rentals and event promotion. We don't do much promotion. It's a really small staff, like 7 people as compared to most racetracks. We have a lot of city rules and contracting and things like that make it even harder than if it was in a private area. But it's such a unique facility. We're still in the city limits of Portland. The place has been here since the early 60s. It was, people don't remember this, where we are now was Oregon's second largest city, the city of Vanport. And that was a World War II housing project that flooded in 1948. And what was left was the roads, and the local racers started using the roads to do sports car racing, and it grew from there.
And it's really grown. In fact, yesterday we talked to Callum Ilott, who of course used to be in Formula 2. He called this place an old school racetrack, and Colton Herta praised how challenging it is for such a small track. When it comes to Friends of PIR, if somebody was watching, what's the best way that they could get involved to support the racetrack here?
Well, you can go right on the Friends website, Friends of PIR, I think it's .com. And then there's lots of volunteer opportunities. For instance, we collect cans and then take the money from the can collection and turn it back into the racetrack. We do other fundraising operations. Volunteers come and work at various events. We're also a political arm, so we make sure that the city fathers understand the importance of the racetrack and deal with stuff like that.
And final question, I know NTT IndyCar series are back. They missed out last year, and then we went a long time where we didn't have IndyCars, particularly after CART and the IndyCars did merge. How exciting is it, and how big is it, the event for the city of Portland overall?
It's really a big deal. We fill up hotel rooms all over. We did an economic study that just the IndyCar race is probably worth $35-40 million to the local economy. The track itself does that again just on its own, and that's all money that isn't transfer money. It would have been spent on movies or whatever. It's money that comes into the town, and we're responsible for more than 700 jobs in the neighborhoods.
Mark, thank you so much for your time. We're very grateful for this group helping ensure Portland International Raceway stays here, and enjoy the rest of the IndyCar weekend.
Thank you very much. Have fun.
And as Mark mentioned, a whopping $35 million was brought into the Portland economy from IndyCar alone, which I find remarkable. No other major auto racing series visits the Pacific Northwest, just the NTT IndyCar series. And with NASCAR's trend of adding more road courses, could Portland be the answer for a rotating road course circuit event, testing out a new market?
Sure. In fact, a lot of fans may not remember this, but the Camping World Truck Series used to visit Portland a long time ago. The SCCA the SCCA Trans Am Series has visited Portland, and also NASCAR has had races at Evergreen Speedway in Washington and Portland Speedway in Oregon, and also you can't forget that former NASCAR drivers Greg Biffle, Mike Bliss are also from the Beaver State. So I think it'd be pretty cool to see at least maybe the Xfinity Series go there and instruct a lot more fans in the Pacific Northwest, or maybe even have the Truck Series come back. I think it'd be really cool to see either the Xfinity Series or the Truck Series race at Portland International Raceway.
And I believe we may have a comment in the chat room again from Humperdinck there in terms of road courses. I think Lime Rock is closest to me. Yeah, that's another one. I think K&N actually raced there going back quite a few years. One that could throw an interesting change into the schedule. When it comes to Portland, I like the idea in principle for NASCAR. I think I would have liked it better 3 or 4 years ago when we still, the Roval was only the third. The Charlotte Roval, of course, only the third road course being added to Cup Series schedule. Now that we have so many, it's a little bit tougher for me to find a place in the year that works for it. You could maybe try to incorporate it into the West Coast swing. But I think road course racing in NASCAR has put on some great shows over the last few years, and this certainly is a new market that might be worth testing out. The ARCA West Series was there after a long absence. I think it was 2012 they were saying on the broadcast the last time that series was there. So I think there's definitely potential for stock cars at Portland. Like we were mentioning, the Truck Series racing there going back a ways. Is it something that NASCAR could consider? I think so. But I don't know, looking at the Cup Series schedule with how many road courses we have, to be honest with you, I'd probably rather see a true road course rather than an infield road course like we're seeing at Charlotte or Daytona or Indianapolis. Portland would certainly be a good candidate for those. But with how many tracks that have left and right-hand turns on the Cup Series schedule, it might be something better for the Xfinity Series or Truck Series to consider as a standalone race weekend. And my apologies, I forgot we were leading into my segment here. There are 27 drivers in today's race, including 4-time Indy 500 champion Helio Castroneves and the rookies of Romain Grosjean, Scott McLaughlin, and Jimmie Johnson. 5 drivers in this race have also started F1 races in today's field. And Callum Ilott is starting his first IndyCar race today. He arguably should be in Formula One right now, finishing second in the Formula 2 standings last season to Mick Schumacher. So Josh, considering the diverse lineup of drivers we have from different disciplines, has IndyCar grown in popularity as a global sport?
Massively. Absolutely massively. And certainly from a UK point of view here, it's used to be shown on Sky Sports in the early 2000s. As in, some races were live, some were trimmed down highlights, and some were just not shown at all. But ever since BT Sport took over, I think 2013, every race was live, qualifying and the race, full thing. We get, like you lot over there in the States, we get to see the entire race advert-free as well. And now Sky Sports re-picked it back up and from BT, and they now show it as well without any adverts. And I think it really has grown a lot in the UK. I know that Sky Germany are now showing it as well, Sky Italia, so it's popular in Europe as well. It's popular among the drivers. We've had people say in Formula One, which mainly is a European sport, isn't it? They call it a World Championship, but there's more races in Europe than there is in the Middle East and in the Americas as well, and in Asia. So I think definitely IndyCar, ever since it re-merged in the late 90s as well, it's just been fantastic. And we even had Nigel Mansell. I think he was the one that started it from an F1 point of view. Mansell going over there to IndyCar full-time, he started it as well. We then had Alex Zanardi do it, of course. And of course, we all hope Alex is having a great recovery as well. And he's back with us soon as well, fighting fit. A long recovery progress, as we know. But it all started with Mansell as well. Now we've had Alonso go over there, as you say, as well. We've got 5 drivers from the F1 grid starting today's IndyCar race. Yeah, it's definitely grown. And I think I would say a name change would be more appropriate, because is it really the IndyCar Championship anymore? Considering the fact that It's broadcast all the way around the world. On the watch-along coverage I do as well, I get people watching from Australia, from Japan, even from the Ukraine as well. They all love IndyCar as well, and it's always one of the popular ones when we show it. So yeah, maybe they could rename it the Champ Car Series once again and just have it as the IRL again. I don't know, but definitely IndyCar's popular. We love it as well, and certainly as well, it just gives us something different because it's a different type of racing. You have road courses and then you have ovals as well. You wouldn't dream of anything over here in Europe having that. You don't see the British Touring Car Championship going to an oval. They stay on road courses. The same with Formula One. So yeah, I love that it's a sport that has two different modes, and it just is brilliant, and it is booming, especially in the modern age of social media as well, because it's getting a lot more coverage, a lot more viewers, a lot more fans as well. I think, like all sports, they've grown. Formula One was popular, MotoGP and all that lot. IndyCar used to be the American series of Formula One. It wasn't really that popular outside the States. Social media has changed all of that. And certainly, I can't wait to see where it goes in the future. And maybe even a certain Lewis Hamilton could do a couple of races over here when he retires.
I remember, I think the 2017 Japanese Grand Prix, Takuma Sato was doing the podium interviews. He had his brand new Indy 500 ring, and Lewis was maybe flirting with that idea. I think it was mostly in jest, but it would be cool to see him over in IndyCar. And of course, 25 years since Alex had already pulled off the pass at Laguna Seca, and certainly our best wishes to him. But thinking back to that broadcast, I remember, I think there was a line from Paul Page in there talking about how the series has become so international. And we're certainly starting to see that again. And currently, the only international race on the schedule is the one in Canada in Toronto. Obviously, the series not racing there this year because of the pandemic. But we have had several international events in the past. CART had events in Mexico, which is the home country of Pato Ward. Australia had Surfers Paradise, and we now have drivers like Scott Dixon, Scott McLaughlin, and Will Power from that region of the world, Australia and New Zealand. And Japan has also hosted CART and the Indy Racing League before at Twin Ring Motegi. And of course, the Sao Paulo Brazil Grand Prix hosting IndyCar from 2010 to 2013. So Adam and Josh, what country can you think of that should be considered next for an expansion of the schedule if we think in international terms?
I'll make Josh happy. England, go to Silverstone. I believe the Champ Car Series ran the Indy circuit at Brands Hatch in the past. And, I'd like to see him go back to Australia, Surfers Paradise. Brazil was also a very popular destination. I believe they've also run Zolder, Belgium, Assen in the Netherlands. But for me, why not have the IndyCars Technical Zandvoort? I think it'd be a really cool race to see after everything that happened with F1. So, I mean, there's so many countries that it'd be cool for them to have an IndyCar race. Hopefully, when the pandemic is all done, we can go back to Canada again. I know in Australia and New Zealand has coverage of the IndyCars through Sky Sports down there. So I'll say England, have the IndyCars at Silverstone. Why not?
I'm just sending you the £10, Adam. There you are. Sent it across. Yeah, actually, I know. I would say the same as you. I would say England as well. I think with our McLaren Schmidt-Peterson team as well in there as well, and quite a few British drivers coming up the ranks in IndyCar, I think it would be brilliant to have a race. I'm not sure Silverstone would suit an IndyCar at the moment. It's very tricky to pass that as well, and Silverstone might suit it, but maybe a different variation of Silverstone. I would personally bring it to Rockingham. We've had Champ Car races there before, I think in early 2000s as well. Rockingham is the only oval left in Britain as well. We used to have Brooklands, of course, but that was taken down. But Rockingham was built specifically for oval racing. And over the last couple of years, it's gone bust as well. It can still be used. It's still there. Let's find some revenue. Let's bring it back. Let's get oval racing in England. That was a fantastic ploy, and now there's more people loving IndyCar racing here in the UK. Let's bring it back. But no, I completely agree as well with what you've all said. I would love to see Sao Paulo back. It was one of my favorite races on the calendar. It's what actually mainly got me into IndyCar racing as well. That 2012 race at the end of I think it was the end of the Malaysia Grand Prix weekend on Sky F1. They were showing Sao Paulo. I thought, I'll tune into that. Although I had been watching IndyCar before that, of course. The year before, I actually watched the Las Vegas race with the big incident there. Not exactly the best way in. But no, let's bring it back to Sao Paulo. Let's bring it back Surface Paradise. I love the Surface Paradise racetrack. It is so beautiful as well, and I don't know why they keep getting rid of these ones. Canada in Toronto, that race is always a bit of a non-starter for me. It's very pretty, very lovely, but there's just something off about the track. I'm not sure I can put my name on it, but ideally, if we're going to race anywhere, let's go somewhere where no racing has ever gone. Let's go New Zealand, because no international sport, to my knowledge, has ever raced in New Zealand properly. Let's be like Formula E. I've raced in Uruguay, Punta del Este. They've raced in countries that we can't race in with the emission laws as well. Extreme E, they've raced on glaciers. Let's do something different. Let's bring IndyCar and put it in New Zealand as well. That, I think, would be a fantastic race, and double bill it with Surface Paradise as well.
Well, Josh, you got to be careful there. You talk about bringing back Rockingham to an American audience. They're going to think you're talking about a track in North Carolina.
I thought that.
Yeah, well, I think both tracks would certainly be welcome additions. I don't know. There's all the talk about North Wilkesboro, obviously. I think there's a movement to get Rockingham cleaned up a little bit. We'll see where that goes. It's all interesting ideas, and we do have some comments from the chat room. I believe another one from Hubbardink. The current driver lineup, IndyCar, can be as popular as it was in the 90s as long as they keep a social media and YouTube presence. I think more live coverage would be good. Yeah, I certainly don't disagree with that. I think you look at Formula One's channel and what they've done with Netflix here. I think it's definitely boosted popularity of that in the States. Certainly something IndyCar could do as well. And also Lando Norris should have a go at Indy. I think I think I'm remembering to the iRacing during the shutdown. Did he take part in the Indy 500 that we saw during the iRacing break?
Lando,
I think,
yeah.
So that
he nearly won
until
Simon Pagenaud whacked him off deliberately.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that was a big controversy as well. So certainly be interesting to see Lando give it a go. He's got the McLaren connection going for him, so that might give him a jump start. But yeah, I love seeing crossover between Formula One and IndyCar. And it's going to be a little bit easier to do now that Monaco and Indy don't clash on race weekends. People talk about doing the Indy Charlotte double. Obviously, there's no way you can get across the entire Atlantic Ocean to do Monaco and Indy. You'd have to give up the race like Fernando Alonso did in 2017. So certainly some opportunity for crossover there in the future. And some of the biggest names have won the Portland Grand Prix before. It's now time for us to pick which name we think will be added to that list today. Here's Adam to lead us into the Pick a Winner segment.
Thank you very much. And we take a look at the updated leaderboard. Joe is first. I'm second. Kobe is third. Matt White is fourth. And Ben is fifth. Joe has picked the Kiwi, Scott Dixon, to win the Grand Prix of Portland today. So, Josh, I'll start with you. Who takes the checkered flag in the beautiful Rose City of Portland, Oregon?
Pato O'Ward starts seventh on the grid, has some strong strategy on him as well for the past couple of races. And I seriously think he could be a surprise. I'm looking forward to calling the race with you two as well in a couple of hours' time here. Because I think you're going to hold me to that, and I know you are. So yeah, I'm saying Pato O'Ward to make it a McLaren double of the day as well.
Well, I don't want to jinx him because I've been a fan of his since his Matter days, and it's been a long time coming for him. It's been over 2 years since he won a race. Although I picked Truex to win the NASCAR race last night, and that worked out well for me. So maybe it'll turn out all right. But I'm going to go with Alexander Rossi. I'll just have a good feeling about him starting on the front row. I know he's very hungry. It's been a long, long time since he's won an IndyCar race. and he's got to be desperate to get that monkey off his back. Look for him to, at the very least, be on the podium, but I'll go so far as to pick him for the win today.
Yes, today could be a big turnaround for Alexander Rossi, and I'm sure he'll be thrilled to return to victory lane for the first time since I believe it was June of 2019, so over 2 years, a very long time when he last won out at Road America. But I'm gonna go with the other driver starting up front. I think Alex Palou, the pole sitter, is going to win, and he's gonna send a strong statement to Pato O'Ward that I'm gonna take the points lead back after 2 bad races. I'm going to win this championship as we close out the season with this West Coast swing at Portland today, then Laguna Seca next week, and then the season finale on the iconic streets of Long Beach.
Those are all good picks. But for me, I'm going to go with Romain Grosjean in the number 51 for Rick Ware Racing. It's a small team, and wouldn't it be cool to see him come through and take the checkered flag, since we all know where he's going next year. It's time to wrap up this very special edition of the Grid Live Prix Show, so I'll throw it back to you, Ben, to wrap it all up.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
all right.
Yeah, it's all good, Adam. Yeah, but this concludes the first out of our 3 programs we have scheduled for today. Coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, a live watch-along for the Grand Prix of Portland. Grid Network is going to be teaming up with Josh's YouTube channel for this special program. Josh, is there anything else you'd like to add about today's watch-along?
Expect carnage, expect a lot of action, and expect 3 people to talk absolute nonsense while the only person who's down in the pit lane can actually give us any decent information. And Kobe, you're going to be wonderful as well. You're going to be directing us all as well and running everything off site. It's going to be fantastic. Yeah, do join us, because we have a lot of fun on the watch-alongs as well. It's an alternate commentary, and it's a lot of fun. And also, to tempt you, in America, if you're watching in America, you don't see all the race. I do. I get to see everything. So if anything happens, we're right there to tell you about it first.
Yes, the watch-along is going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see how it goes. And after the watch-along, we'll be back on the air later today, 90 minutes after the Grand Prix of Portland for a Grid Live wrap-up. We'll be recapping all the other racing action around the world this weekend, beginning with Joe's final words from the track. For Adam, Ben, and Josh, I'm Kobe from the Podium Finish. Thank you for watching. Don't go far, and we'll see you soon.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform, public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities, such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GridNet for your free $5 to invest. Start investing and networking on public.com.